Welcome to the Wellness Empowerment Project. I'm Trish.
And I'm Julie. We are two nurses exploring holistic healing and wellness practices to empower you to be the leader of your own health.
Join us as we have fun making the weird shit a normal part of your everyday life. Hi, welcome to the Wellness Empowerment Project. Today, we have Toshamalla, or Tosh McCloud. She's the founder and owner of She Exhaled, a contributing author of the Women Crushing It anthology, and a former co-host of the Four Souls Flow podcast. She Exhaled is a vibrant women's health and wellness brand dedicated to empowering women through self-care with community support. With over 25 years of experience in corporate planning in the healthcare industry, Tosh combines her passion for well-being with her expertise to foster environments where women can thrive. As a passionate advocate for self-care and holistic wellness, she founded She Exhaled to offer natural, accessible solutions that empower others to prioritize their well-being. She also provides an opportunity for people to explore the benefits of CBD in an approachable and down-to-earth way. Welcome, Tosh.
Thank you, Trish. I appreciate it.
Hi,
Thank you
Tosh.
for having me. Hi, Julie.
So happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Can you give us a little bit of your background and a little bit about your story?
Sure. As Trish just mentioned, I'm the founder and owner of She Excel, the health and wellness brand. How I came to She Excel. So currently, I am a continuing education manager for a rehabilitation hospital across the country. And I have over 25 years experience in continuing education and corporate planning. My personal story is that I'm also a proud breast cancer survivor. I had a battle with breast cancer over 12 years ago. I was diagnosed with stage 1, and I ended up having a double mastectomy. At the end of my treatment, I was left with one of the side effects was I suffered from insomnia. It was at sometimes debilitating insomnia where I literally could not sleep for days on end. I tried a lot of different things with my medical providers. Nothing was really working. I started dabbling in some CBD and some gummies, and it was working and it helped with my sleep. It provided me an opportunity to have a good night's sleep and wake up not feeling any type of feeling like I'm groggy or anything like that. And so I ended up speaking to my providers about what I was taking. And their comment was, if it's working, then continue to use it. And so I was using CBD for that reason and was talking to my peers about it, and no one kind of knew about it. Obviously, whenever I talked about CBD, they immediately thought about marijuana. I kept saying, no, it's totally different. There's so many benefits. You got to know about it. And I felt like there was a lot of opportunity for education and also for me to bring a product to the market that I really felt good about, which was organic, that really had good products, was sourced well, and third-party lab tested. I took some time to be able to actually do that and brought that to the market, and that's how I got to She Excelled, which I founded 2 years ago.
Wow, that's such an amazing story. There's so many little nuggets I want to touch on.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of go back to the beginning of the story where you so bravely shared that you had a double mastectomy. Would you mind going back and just kind of sharing with us what brought you to coming to that decision? Because that's a massive
Oh,
decision to make on
absolutely.
so many levels. So yeah, how did you come to making that decision and knowing that that was not just the right decision for you, but also being okay with it?
So, at the age of 39, actually, I have 2 cousins who I'm very close with. We're like sisters. And we were like, okay, we're about to turn 40. Let's go get our mammograms. We're going to do it and have lunch and have brunch and make a day of it. I went and got my mammogram at 39 and was thinking, okay, it's just my first mammogram. And it came back positive. Initially, when I was first diagnosed and the team was developing a treatment plan, I was told that I would be able to have a lump. I was like, fine, I'm fine with that. I can move forward with that. I'm ready. Let's do it, get it over with. With further tests, MRI guided biopsy, they realized that the cancer was throughout my breast. and that a lumpectomy was not an option for me. And so I would need to have, they were suggesting a mastectomy. After talking to my doctors and research and realizing that the cancer can come back in your other breast, and that's something that I would have to be concerned about and thinking about for the rest of my life, I decided at that point that I would move forward with a double mastectomy. And it was scary. It was a difficult decision as a 39-year-old, but felt like it was the best decision in terms of hopefully not having to deal with breast cancer again in my lifetime. So that's how I came to that decision, obviously, with the help of my family and medical providers. But it was a difficult decision. It was difficult in many ways. At 39, you think about yourself physically as a woman, emotionally, what they can do to you. And I was married with young children, but felt like in the long run, it would be the best decision for me and for my family.
After your surgery, did you have to go through radiation or do any chemo?
I did not. So I was lucky that after the surgery, I did not. I was on medication and that was it. I did have reconstructive surgery actually at the same time. It was a long haul.
Yeah. Did they have to take any lymph nodes as well? I'm asking because I have someone close to me who's just recently gone through this scenario, and she's had a lot of difficulties after just one lymph node being removed during her surgery with cording and things like that.
Yes, they did. They took actually several lymph nodes. And one of the things I'll never forget was after the surgery, when the doctor came in after the surgery, he said, "I'm so glad that you decided to do a double mastectomy because the cancer was pervasive throughout your breast, and more pervasive than they even expected before the surgery." But yes, they did have to remove lymph nodes. And I know that some people do have problems with that. And there was a lot of exercises and other things that I had to do after the surgery to try to prevent any additional side effects from happening from having to remove the lymph nodes.
I think your story resonates with so many people. And as Julie shared, a friend of hers going through it. My mother had a lumpectomy from breast cancer as well. We talk about the decisions we make and how to treat it. But we don't always focus on what happens afterwards. It's maybe the first like 24, 48 hours, right? Like those first port, and then it's like after it's like, oh boy, now what? You share that you were having lots of insomnia. Do you mind kind of sharing like how bad it was? How was it affecting your life? All those things that you were trying.
Yeah, I do want to back up a little bit and say after my surgery, when I was in the hospital, I ended up with a pulmonary embolism. And so I was in the hospital for probably almost 3 weeks, like a long time, almost 3 weeks. After I got home, I think part of it initially was, quite frankly, just as I look back on it, is just being scared. I'm scared to sleep. I'm scared to be up. I'm scared to sleep. Like going through all of the emotions. Eventually, once I got home, I would lay down at night and literally just look at the ceiling all night. I get up, walk around. I do all the things they say to do, have tea, all of the things. And I just, for days, my body would be so tired and my mind would be so tired. And I say, I know when I go to bed tonight, like there's no way I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. And I would lay down again and look at the wall, look at the ceilings. It's hard to describe. It's your mind and your body saying, we need rest. Please rest us. But it's not happening. You feel like you're crawling up a wall. You feel like there's no end. I just want to sleep. How difficult can it be to just sleep? It feels like something that should just be natural. The doctors prescribe different things, and some of them works for a short period. But the problem was that there was a lot of side effects. I wake up not feeling well. I feel groggy. I couldn't focus. There was just a lot happening when I was taking what they were prescribing. And so that didn't feel good either. Someone had mentioned to me something about trying CBD, and I did. It started working for me, and I was talking to my doctors about it, and again, they were like, "If it's working, then why not use it, continue to use it?"
I just wanted to share that, for all any of our listeners who are not sure what a pulmonary embolus is, it's a very large blood clot. that starts in our lungs and then it can go into the other areas of our body. It can end up in our heart. It could end up having a massive stroke if it goes that way. And actually, my husband had one and was hospitalized.
Oh, I'm sorry
He
to hear that.
continues to be on blood thinners for life because we've never figured out what the source of this was. So this is a major event in itself. And you really, I think, touched on the fact that there was this fear that was almost embedded in your system afterwards. Not just the fear of the cancer, how that was permeated through your body, but then on top of it, the fear of having a blood clots as well. What else were you doing just to help yourself kind of before you even got to the CBD and the medications? I'd love to hear about the support system that you may have had going through all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of different things. So, one, I started doing Reiki, which was helping at a point. So, that was really important. I also was a part of a support group that was very instrumental with other women who had gone through breast cancer survivors. And because being able to talk to people who have experienced what you've gone through and understand those feelings that you're having about self, about body, about mind. And you're right, Trish, when you say that we think about the first 24 to 48 hours, but what happens afterwards, right? All of the self doubt, all of the scariness of, will I get cancer again? What does that look like? How will it affect my relationship with my husband? I had a double mastectomy. How does that play into it? So having the support of friends and family is so vital, so important. But also the support group of women who had experienced breast cancer or who had gone through a double mastectomy and who understood what that felt like emotionally. And being able to have those conversations with them and to share what works for people, what worked for different people, what might have been working for me that could also work for other people as well.
When you started to explore CBD, did you have any reservations about it? Or did you really do a ton of research or just asked around? Can you tell us how you moved into that decision?
When I first started exploring it to use it, I didn't do a lot of research. I was like, I'm desperate and I'm going to try it. So initially, no. But once I started using it, and once I did start, and I started research after I started using it, I started doing that research. And once I started doing the research and really delving into what this is and how it can benefit not only me, but everyone in many different ways, I just started talking to people, started doing my own research, starting to talking to people who are in the business, people who curate CBD and source it, also talking to my own friends who happen to be nurses, like as Trish, you're a nurse, nurses who are in the business and getting feedback and information about CBD and the many benefits that it has. And it can help with so a myriad of issues. And specifically, I came to it because of insomnia, but I think, the journey has definitely moved into more overall wellness and self-care in terms of CBD being able to assist with anxiety and relieving stress and pain. And you guys know, like I do, that women all the time, we take care of our families, we are supporting other people, we carry a lot in terms of the weight of the world of our own worlds and families. And many times we do that without even taking a breath to prioritize our own self care and wellness. And so we applaud ourselves and we applaud women who are doing all these wonderful things, but also understanding the importance of self care and overall wellness and how that can affect you and how important it is to understand that needs to be at the forefront because when you are taking care of yourself mentally, physically, your soul and your spirit, knowing that you can bring your best self to all of the people that you are supporting in your network.
You mentioned about your own products earlier and them being well sourced. You also just mentioned again that when you're doing your own research, you were looking at them being sourced well. I'd love to hear you tell us and our listeners What is being sourced well? What does that look like? What did you look for? What did you learn about the process that you think is important for people to know?
Yeah, so it's important to know, and that's a really good question because one of the things that I've learned over the past 2 years is there are just so many questions about CBD and its place in medicine. A lot of times I will talk to people and they will often say to me, "Oh, I tried CBD, but it didn't work for me or I had a side effect." And I'll say to the person, "What type of product did you try? Was it a broad spectrum product or a full spectrum product?" And they say, "I don't know." People just don't understand. It's important for people to get knowledgeable in terms of what CBD is. We want to make sure that we are sourcing products that are sourced within the USA because CBD can be sourced anywhere in the and you want to know where your product is being sourced from. You want to know that your extractors are taking care with the product, that the product is being processed in a way that does not deteriorate the source and the ingredients in the product. So you want to make sure that any product that you're taking has a third party lab test. You should be able to see that test. You should be able to see what the products are in that test and how it's sourced. I always say to people, the first thing I always start out with is there are two types of CBD. There's broad spectrum and there's full spectrum. Broad spectrum CBD is CBD in its purest form, just CBD. Full spectrum CBD is CBD that has THC in it. But by law, you can only have 0.3% THC in any CBD product for it to be considered CBD. Then also talking to people about understanding, because people typically think when they think CBD, they think, oh, I'm going to get high. And no, you're not. CBD, typically a broad spectrum product, like I said, will not have THC in it. But even if you have a product that has THC in it, again, by law, can only have 0.3%. So you might get a what we consider a beach buzz or a buzz, but you're not going to get high.
Do you recommend that people look for broad spectrum or either one do you think is recommended as long as it's third party tested?
I often tell people when they're coming to CBD that I think it's important to understand that CBD is going to be different for every single person. It's going to affect every single person differently. Again, I start with knowing your source. Secondly, understanding the different types. Take it slow. I always say start slow. I suggest that people start with a broad spectrum product if they have not ever experienced CBD, to start with a broad spectrum product and see how that works for you. And then if you need to, or if you want to, then move into a full spectrum product. But I always say slow and steady wins the race. And it really is about finding the right balance of CBD for each individual person, because what works for me might not work for the next person.
So, depending on where we are in, the United States or whatever country some of our listeners are listening from, you may not have a lot of access to these products, or you could have one practically on every corner.
Mhm.
So, I'm very curious, what brought you, or what did you see in the current industry that brought you to the point where you decided to make some of your own products? And I'd love to hear, what those products are.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, initially, it really was about, can I bring something to the market that is organic, that is clean, that consumers can feel good about taking, and that is transparent. And so that's what we've done. So we spent a lot of time working with purveyors who we feel good about, who we know are sourcing the products correctly and are manufacturing the products. We want to be good stewards of the environment as well. So that's important for us. The brand was initially started with gummies because it was like the first entry into CBD. We have a line of products that are infused with CBD. She excelled. And one of the things for me was really about creating a space for people to be able to come to CBD that in a place that is really approachable, easygoing. You can ask a lot of questions. And that's the platform that we really wanted to create, a space for people to come, have questions, really feel good about what it is that we're offering in terms of our product. But our line consists of everything from tinctures essential oils, we have CBD candles, we have gummies, massage oils, we have bath bombs and steamers. We have a really broad line of products that really is about assisting people in terms of their overall health and wellness. So whether it is for anxiety or stress, skin care, or pain relief, we've got a product that we believe can assist you and get you to your optimal health in terms of your overall health and wellness.
I'm curious about dosing because when you first delved into CBD, it sounds like you were coming from a place where you had experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of stress, and your system was in such a place that, in my mind, you may have needed more CBD versus where you are now. Are there recommendations for somebody who is exploring CBD or going through a very challenging or stressful time in their life where they may need more versus is there a maintenance dose, so to speak?
Absolutely. I think part of it is, again, starting from a place where if it's new to you, you're starting at a lower dosage. Sometimes that lower dosage might not work and you need to increase that dosage. And then also, if you're already using CBD, and again, you're going through a stressful period, like for instance, I don't even know if I think I might have shared this with Trish that I lost my brother in law on Monday, unfortunately. It's been a stressful week. And so I might find myself, okay, I'm using tinctures in the morning in my tea just to help me relax and calm down and get the day. There's a lot to do over the next few days. And my baseline might be changing because I have a high stress level right now. Yeah. So part of it is that you're going to be actively changing doses based on what you're going through. You might have a baseline and that might change depending on where your health and wellness is, whether or not you're sick or you're just going through a period of time when it's just extremely stressful. Or maybe you're going through a time when, you know what, like things are really going well. There isn't a lot of stress in your life right now. And you find that I could take a lesser dose, or maybe I'm not using it as often right now. And I think that's okay. I think the wonderful thing about it is you get to control your journey. There is no strict, hard, fast rule in terms of how much and what you need. You get to control that, and that's based on you taking ownership of how you're feeling, identifying what's working for you and what's not, and understanding that also that CBD can come in any type of there's many types of forms, whether or not you're taking a tincture or a soft gel. It just depends on what you feel most comfortable with.
I'm so sorry to hear about your brother-in-law. I
Thank
know that
you.
it's gotta be a rough time for you and your family, so my heart goes out to you.
I
I
appreciate
in
that. Thank you.
You're welcome. In regards to the different forms, you mentioned even CBD candles. How do you absorb the CBD from a candle? Do you or do you not? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a product that is 700 milligrams of CBD in our candles, and the absorption is through inhalation when the candle is burning to provide relaxation and just stress-free comfort because it's gonna affect your cannabinoid system when you're inhaling. But depending on what you're using, again, what you want to use the candle for, we have some candles that are strictly for calming relaxation. We have other candles that are used more for recharging and giving you more energy. And that obviously depends on what else is included in the ingredients for that candle. It's so funny because whenever I'm out and about, if I'm doing any type of vending and people are like, CBD candles, how does that work? What do I do with it? How does it burn? I'm like, it's like a regular old candle. You're gonna burn it when you're ready, and you're gonna enjoy the benefits of the CBD via just inhalation of the candle burning. And the great thing about our particular candles is that when they burn down, you can use it as oil on your skin as well. So it's a 3 in 1. Which is great.
That's amazing. And I really like that by showing some different products, it's different ways that people can experience it other than just ingesting it. Because
Yes,
that's
because
what
everyone's not comfortable with that, which and we
Mhm.
understand everyone's not comfortable with that level of taking part in CBD. And so the idea of being able to have a candle or even a shower steamer where you can put a shower steamer in your shower in the morning or in the evening, depending on what your needs are, and being able to get the benefits of that or a bath bomb or an essential oil that you can use in a diffuser. So there are so many ways that you can partake if you don't want to take something internally, a pill or a soft gel. There are other ways that you can also get the benefits of a CBD.
You mentioned that not everybody is comfortable with CBD. And there is a lot of stereotypes. There's a lot of just preconceived ideas around CBD. What do you think is the most important thing for the public to know and understand about CBD to help dispel some of those stereotypes and thoughts around the product?
Great question, Julie. I would say first and foremost is to do your own research. If you really find that this is something that you understand that you don't know much about, but you're interested or you're curious, I would say do your own research. Secondly, I would say don't be afraid to talk to your healthcare providers about your questions. And I would also say that people should not feel intimidated because there's a reason why people are confused because the information is confusing. There's been a lot of confusing information. Every time you turn on the TV, there's a different study. And this goes with everything across the board. I feel like one day it's safe to drink coffee, one day it's not safe to drink coffee. One day it's safe to have wine, one day it's not safe to have wine. One day it's safe to take CBD, one day it's not safe to take CBD. So I think that people need to be comfortable doing their own research, having the conversations with healthcare providers, talking to people who are in the industry, and really understanding because if you really take a look at the history of CBD, CBD has been used for years. And initially, and I'm sure Trish, you know this, was used in children who suffered from seizures for many years and still to this day. So there's a lot of information out there. It's trying to get to the information that makes sense and that is right. And if people have questions, to feel comfortable coming to places that are open to answering those questions. But I understand why people are confused because the information is just it's confusing and there's a lot of information. And depending on who you speak to, you get different answers. And again, I feel like this could be almost any industry in this day and age because there's so much information. People are bombarded with information, and sometimes it's information overload.
So you talked also about the She Exhaled brand. It's more than just CBD. It's also it sounds like a wellness community. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think I talked earlier about the fact that women spend a lot of time supporting their families. We take love, care, and sacrifice for other people. And I feel like health and wellness and overall self-care, at least for me, is a lifelong journey. Because as much as I talk about it all the time, and I've embedded myself in the community because I do feel like it's so important, I continue to have to remind myself. I have to remind myself all the time that you need to be able to put yourself first. And yes, you're working and yes, you have this business, but what about you? And what are you doing for yourself? So part of the brand is yes, CBD, but it is a community or we're trying to build a community where people can come and talk about their self-care journeys. They can create a space where they can ask questions, they can participate and bring what works for them to this space and also get ideas from other people about self-care and overall health and wellness. The important thing for us is that it should not just be for some people, self-care and health and wellness. It should be for all. It should be affordable. It should be accessible. And we want people to be able to do it at in a place and a stage that feels comfortable and right for them. And so one of the things that we did in September, I think Trish, you mentioned this earlier, is that we had an event called the Soul to Soul Wellness Experience. And it was really just a day for women to be able to come together, experience speakers who focus on healthcare, self-care, mindfulness, and gratitude, and all those tools that we use day to be able to lift ourselves up, our spirits, our souls, to be able to focus on who we are and what we're doing, and to be able to feel good about it. And a place where we could just really take our hair down and really support one another. And Trish, thank you again. Trish was a speaker at that event. We greatly appreciate that. But yeah, it really is a place that or a space that we're trying to create that we can provide one resources where people can get information, where we can provide community for people. And it's in the works, it's building, it takes time, but it's really important. And it's one of the missions that is really important and close to my heart in terms of how we promote our business on a day to day basis. Like, what can we do to support women, to support other women, to support women in business, to support women in their healthcare and their journeys, their overall wellness journeys. And again, because for me, I know it's a lifelong journey. I struggle with it all the time. I can talk about it, but I have to remind myself to be about it.
I just wanted to add that that event was it was just incredible. It you know, there's not many spaces out there for women to just go and experience and learn. You have these different fairs out there, right? That have all these booths that you go and walk and stop by, but
Right.
was different is that yours was very much a community event. Yes, there were vendors, but there was also, a lot of community experiences.
Yes.
There were speakers, but there was also some interactive pieces as well. Also, people were able to engage in different, wellness experiences on top of it. You kind of had the gamut from, product based to experience to just sit down, and you could really tell in that space though that the women were all engaging, with each other in a way that you don't typically see in these, for lack of a better word, these health or wellness fairs that you just
Yes.
go to when you go through these booths. So I
Mhm.
just kind of wanted to highlight that
Thank you. I appreciate
is
that. It was
really important.
yeah, it was important for us to we wanted it to feel like an experience. So where people could really feel supported. And I think from the feedback that we got from attendees, it was great in terms of one, many of them said they felt calm and relaxed when they left. They also felt they had learned something new that they could practice in their day-to-day lives. And I think that was the most important thing for us was every time we talked to a speaker or someone who was going to be involved in this event, the outcome is that we wanted people to feel like they were leaving with something tangible that they could put in their toolbox that they can pull out and use whenever they needed it. So it wasn't just we didn't want speaking heads, we don't want people just talking. We really want people to focus on what do people do? What do they need? And what can they do when they're in a situation where they need support and they need it now? What can you give them as a tool that they can use? And so that was one of the greatest gifts that we got from that was that people felt that they got that when they left the event.
Sounds like a great event. You mentioned that you do wellness. That's your side gig. That's your actually not even your side gig. That's your job. And you still need reminders. And women need reminders all of the time. The community aspect is, in my mind, a way that we remind each other of how we can take care of ourselves because life just is life. And you're going and you're doing, and then wham, something comes in, right? Having those connections with other people and being able to nudge each other along towards how we can practice self care. Because let's face it, self care is like the buzzword. And
Yes.
I almost feel like it's like now it's another thing added to the checklist that women already had.
Mhm.
And it's, "Oh, I have to do self care." You do the thing, and it doesn't always connect. But it sounds like the event that you had really helped to put it into practice, forced women to be like, okay, this is my time. I'm going to do this for me, which just sounds amazing.
Absolutely. And I think it's almost we use the words self-care and health and wellness, and overall wellness journey and all of that. When you think about your day-to-day life, it's not how you practice it. It's not, oh, I'm going to wake up and do self-care this morning. It really is creating a plan that you feel comfortable with in your life that supports you and what you need in your life. And then also building a community around that plan who can remind you, like you said, Julie, in those times when you might not be able or you're not practicing the plan that you put in place, someone who can remind you, like maybe one of the reasons why you're feeling the way you're feeling is because you're not practicing your plan. When I wake up in the morning and I say, okay, I'm just going to meditate for 5 minutes, or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in the evening before I go to bed, take 15 minutes to do this. I don't necessarily say, oh, I'm doing self care. It's not the words that I'm using. I'm just taking care of myself because I'm practicing my wellness plan that I have in place. This is like how I run my life. This is how I keep myself in order. I keep myself in optimal health, especially when I talk about your mental health and your mental well being, right? There's so many times I think as women where we have a lot of different challenges and we're always trying to show up in the world and show up with a smile on our face. And there are some days where the smile just is not there, right? There's some days when you show up and you're putting your best foot forward and you know that it's your best foot for that day, but it's not where you want to be. Having people in your life who, one, can help you identify that. Because sometimes, again, we show up in the world putting our best foot forward with a smile on our face, but it's those people and those friends who really know us and support us who can say, wait a minute, what's really going on? How are you really doing? It's having those conversations and having a plan in place and a support system in place so that when you need it, it's there.
I'm so glad that you are here showing up to have this conversation with us today. If anyone would like to work with you or order some of your products, what are some ways that people can connect with you or find you?
Absolutely. So you can find us online. All products are online on our website at sheexhaled.com, SHEEXHALED.com. You can also find us on Instagram at she.exhaled.
Great.
And if you want to send an email, if you have questions, please feel free to email info@sheexhaled.com.
Okay. I will make sure that we put all of that information in our show notes so everybody can find you really easily. And just want to thank you so much for your time today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, Julie and Trish. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for everything that you're doing just to help promote women's health, especially from the community aspect as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, subscribe, and share with a friend.
Want to learn more about a specific topic? Follow and drop us a line on Instagram so we can explore it more with you.